Hello, everyone. Business value has already resulted from many digital technology implementation, but there are still many opportunities to be captured and many lessons to learn. Today, I have the honor to share with you some of the lessons learned from my journey in the digital world. I will share with you some important principles, concepts, and actual business stories, mostly in the upstream of oil and gas, yet very applicable to any industry. Nowadays, it is hard to attend a technical event without hearing a talk or having a discussion about digital transformation, artificial intelligence, machine learning, edge computing, digital twin, and others. It's due to the fact that they have great capabilities they introduce to create business improvement opportunities in the various domains, including but not limited to efficiency, safety, reliability, and productivity. I am Saeed Al Mubarak, the chairman of the Digital Energy Technical Section and a consultant in petroleum engineering and intelligent fields. Well, during my journey in the digital world, I've learned that same ingredients do not usually yield similar results. Now, when it comes to technology, there is no one size fits all. And when someone is looking for a technology, it has to be a fit for purpose technology. So we need to know exactly where this technology is going to be applied. And we need to know their capabilities and their limitations and the uncertainties associated with them and with the environment that they will be deployed in. And definitely, we need to know not only the short-term application of it and even the long-term and their impact on the whole strategy of the implementation. Well, it's worth mentioning here that the human race, our societies have gone through different stages, and we call them evolution. So from hunting to agriculture to industrial to knowledge-based. And when it comes to the first evolutions, basically from hunting and agriculture, they were more of located in certain places on Earth where even the innovation cannot be really transferred to a different location because they were limited geographically and with the communication capabilities. But with the introduction of technologies, communication, the speed of it, people have capabilities different from the previous basically evolutions where people can communicate between cultures and even borders beyond their locations. And now when it used to be individual results and innovation limited by borders, now with technologies, it's a collective innovation where people can work together where they're not even in one location. So technologies have made the world more of a borderless world when it comes to knowledge. Now, when it comes to the industries, they passed through three evolutions, and this is what you would be hearing about an industrial revolution, the first industrial revolution, the second, and the third, be it from the steam engine to electricity to automation. And people now talk about more of digital transformation or the fourth industrial revolution, which is known more of IR 4.0. And what's in it? It's a fusion of technologies and integration of the physical and virtual world to maximize productivity, enhance efficiency, and improve quality and reliability. And when it comes to real examples that we are witnessing today, I mean, we hear lots about smart cities, the e-commerce and e-government, and smart factories. And when it comes to the upstream of oil and gas, we hear about digital oil fields or intelligent oil fields. In a poll that I run lately, on basically what industries that are more advanced in the digital transformation. Is it really energy, healthcare and education, manufacturing or automotive? And in fact, the poll came up with 47% staying or seeing the evidence of the advancement and the digital transformation in retail, finance and logistics. It doesn't really, I mean, many of these companies are born digital, and this is why you've seen the advancements, and they're more of a process-based with less uncertainty when it comes to it. Now, when we talk about smart X, this is a smart city, a smart factory, or e-commerce, or e-government. They don't only produce products. What they produce also data, and this data can be a product in itself if it is used to make decisions, and these decisions are used to make actions that add value. So in reality, or if you look at it, data by itself has inert energy. It's just like oil that's not really processed, it's underground. But if someone goes into this data, transfer it to knowledge, wisdom, and then use it to make accurate decisions for accurate and timely implementation, then this is where data can produce value. When it comes to the digital oil fields, I mean, we start with an intelligent well. And this well is equipped with sensors, controlling devices, and others. And it used to be that we look at wells, oil wells, as producers of oil. And nowadays, they're not only producers of oil, which is the product that we mentioned in the previous slide. It is basically a production of also data. And if you look at the infrastructure that's required to process the oil, you send the oil through the facilities, through the plants to process the oil. But when it comes to data, it takes another route, which is a bit similar, but through a communication means, be it wireless or wired, through the field, through the facilities, into the IT infrastructure of the company, and then it goes into solutions to make sure that these data are used after filtration and basically extracting the reliable data out of it to make visualization, to make decisions for subsequent implementation. And definitely on that route, you will hear lots of talks about cybersecurity, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and other aspects of the digital transformation. Now, let me illustrate to you or share with you a video that I created to illustrate what the digital oil field is.
A smart well is just like a root of a tree. If the tree has more roots, it has more chances to get more water. So we go and create our own roots, and these are the multilateral wells that goes and branches 2 kilometers below the ground. And we give every branch a sensing capability plus a control capability, so we know where the fluids are coming and what kind of fluid from each branch. When we connect these smart wells together using fiber optics, we then have access to vast amount of real-time data to make faster and smarter decisions and maximize oil and gas recovery. These interconnected smart wells are known as intelligent fields.
This is a very simplified definition or description of digital oil fields. And definitely there is no one size fits all. They are different in technologies implementation and even in the processes and workflows and the business models. Now, when it comes to it, and to go a little bit further into one real example, but before I start with the actual example, let me share with you at least some description of how this these wells look like. I mean, in the video, you've seen a multilateral well, and this is basically the picture that you see in the top left side, and it has 3 legs with the infrastructure at surface. In the right top side, you see the infrastructure subsurface, and that's the 2 kilometer or even more below the ground. And that infrastructure has more of sensing capabilities, and it has control capabilities. Now, what's associated with that infrastructure that is subsurface is basically our technologies at surface to make sure that we control the subsurface. We measure the production of the well by, let's say, surface hydraulic system that controls the subsurface valves, multi-phase flow meters to measure what the production of the well is, RTUs, SCADA, this is more of the IT infrastructure. And this is more of the ICV, the one on the left, the right basically of bottom right, the ICV and BDHMS. And the ICV is the inflow control valve. This is subsurface valve with different choke settings. And the BDHMS is a permanent downhole measurement system, which measures basically pressure, temperature, and in certain places, they have subsurface, even multi-phase flow meters. Now, let me share with you how this environment looks like. And if you look at the circle there, I'm basically identifying the places that I'll be talking about. These are the trilateral walls, basically laterals. And every single lateral, if you look at it, it's the box there. And every one of them has its own attributes that are different. So it has its own capacity. It could produce more. It maybe have different fluids. And the objective of the well, the total system, and consider it as a plant, is to produce an amount that determined by the manager of that well. And definitely there is not only one well, and there are different type of these wells, and the optimization has to go through these boxes to produce whatever your target is from that well or from that lateral. And for a better illustration, for those who don't know how this system works, this is a simplified description of how the system is. It's just like you're having a highway with three basically entries, three highways going into one. And you have different fluids. You have oil, gas, and water. And over there you have trucks, cars, and motorcycles. And you have traffic lights. And these are basically the valves. And what you would want basically is to control the traffic to meet your target, be it in the main highway. And that's basically it. So in subsurface, we have three legs going into one highway. And what we want to produce is basically is to control first every single lateral, what kind of traffic that is desired by the operator. Now, this is an actual example that you may even read about in literature. And this is the well. And as you see, it has three laterals, A, B, and C. And every single lateral has a valve and has a measurement device. And now, if you look at the circle here, the orange circle, if it is fully colored, then it's a closed valve. And if it is just a circle, then it's open. And now we wanted to test this well because without the completion, without downhole valves, the well could not even produce because of the low reservoir pressure in that area. Now, we wanted to see where the water is coming from, where oil is coming from, and the objective was to produce this well only oil. We wanted to produce only oil. So what we tested first, lateral A, as you see, it's a red circle, but half open. And it was producing only blue. And the blue, basically, column there is water. So the lateral A is producing, at that choke settings, water. Now, the rest of the laterals were closed. Now, we closed lateral A, we opened lateral B, partially open, and we closed lateral C, and it was producing only oil. And this is what we wanted. And now, we closed A and B, we opened C, it was producing oil and water, but at a different choke settings. It was so sensitive to the structure of the formation. There was a fracture, it was so sensitive to it. If you introduce a drawdown, a higher drawdown, you produce both fluids, you invite water to it. But if you restrict it, produce only oil. Now, we've done our analysis after testing several basically settings in the field. And we came up with the conclusion that we wanted to produce this well while lateral A is closed, lateral B is partially open, lateral C is a little bit restricted, and it was producing 6,000 barrels for 1 year and a half. And the well is still producing. It's more than a decade old. Definitely, we went through different cycles of optimization similar to this one. Now, if you look at what we've done basically in that well, and what I've shared with you is in a minute or two, this took us maybe 2 weeks. 2 weeks to calculate the data, to test the environment, test every single lateral, have these basically laterals and test it accurately and reliably, and do our analysis. And this well is a system among many other systems, many other wells, and is associated with the strategy of the whole field. So we look at all the aspects for the lateral, the well itself as a system, and for the adjacent wells, and for the whole area, and for the target of the well and the area as well. Now, why digital oil fields? And there are multiple objectives and there are overriding even objectives within the company itself with digital oil field implementation or without. Companies want to optimize cost, be it capex and opex, and this is mostly pronounced in any company. And national oil companies might be different from international oil companies, but definitely they want to maximize also recovery or enable sustainability, and that's the confidence of the market on them. So the digital infrastructure is supposed to be fit for purpose, just like we stated in the tips at the beginning, and they need to use the technologies that basically bring value to the field. Now, uh, there were studies on where the value is obtained or where the maximum value comes from. And as you can see here, this is one of the studies that benchmarks 14 companies. And it seems to be that the predictive operations brings the highest value out of the data. And now when it comes to it, that doesn't mean it is the only one and you will go directly to predictive operation. You will not be able to go to it unless you have the infrastructure that is reliable, and you will have to have data that is managed, stored, and again is reliable to be able to use these data to come up with informed operation and predictive operation, utilizing the capabilities, the domain experts, and maybe the data science capabilities within the company, or even outsourcing it. Now, all of these processes and all of these analysis go through the fundamentals. I mean, and this is exactly what any business is doing, is they go through the data acquisition and learning from that data, going through the analysis, decisions, and action. And that's just the normal flow of decision making and action implementations. And now, what technology has brought to us, other than going through the cycle, which is the fundamental, it reduces the time required to close that cycles from information to action to implementation. And definitely there is a value of time there, be it in the safety issues or critical issues, operational issues in the field. And technologies definitely have shown value when it comes to their successful implementation. Now, but we need to make sure that at least we understand and what real time basically means to us, and definitely these technologies would help us close the loop faster. But we need to understand what loop we are talking about, because knowing what the requirements are to close a certain loop would basically is directly connected to the capex and opex of these environments. So when it comes to operation, just like geosteering or optimizing artificial lift system, they're more of they're done as a fast loop. They can describe them as a fast loop where decisions can be taken in a quicker base, while the optimization of a production of a well, just like the well that we described earlier, and the actual example, took us 2 weeks. And that's really the time that is required to make that optimization and to get all the information that is related to the well and the surrounding wells and to the whole field. And definitely there will be more value if one can come up with processes to expedite closing that loop. And definitely when it comes to history match and simulation modeling and conducting prediction analysis, it takes a little bit more time because things have to be considered other than the actual environment of the field or the well. It's more, you look at strategies, oil price, and other things as well. But definitely quicker decisions that are really accurate may provide a better value for certain loops. Now, reality check, and we have to set our expectation right, and we have to know exactly what the business needs are. Now, when it comes to the oil and gas, just like any other industry, the assets get maturer, they get older, and when they get older, when it comes to oil, you lose production capacities and capabilities. Maturing fields, then you need more maintenance. And now with the implementation of technologies, when you have more technology implementation, one would expect that you would need more of these technologies to be reliable. And for their continuous reliability, you have to have a maintenance program that's really robust to make sure that they're reliable. And you have to have a strategy for implementation of new technologies, because technologies get obsolete, new technologies get introduced. But definitely, any of them has to be, again, we go back to the tip, they have to be fit for purpose. Now, when it comes to the environment, you see many discussions about sustainability, CO2 emission, and others. And definitely, these are concerns that the whole system needs to take care of these concerns and make sure they're considered. Now, in another poll that we conducted, and why many digital transformation projects fail, and these are more 4 items or 4 causes of that failure. And when you look at the feedback from most of the experts, and this is a 33% out of the voters, indicated that most of these projects don't really yield the value, that the expected value, and this is why they fail. Well, definitely these basically causes of failure are all real, but the emphasis on real value, and this is why we need to focus on the objectives of these implementation, be it a short term and a long term, and make sure that they bring value at the end. And definitely, certain entities within an organization, just like R&D, are allowed to fail because they are more of research and development and trial testing. But the key there is when you implement with the big vision, and when you are successful, you create the greatest momentum to scale up. And definitely the value comes from scale up, not from piloting. Now, what are the enablers of successful digital transformation? And this is more of a list, and they're not the only ones, but they're more of the prime ones based on my research and based on my experience. It's basically the infrastructure has to be really robust, support from all directions, top down, bottom up, sideways, from management, from data scientists, from domain experts. And there has to be some sort of incentive program to all those associated in the mission. And that has to be a clear vision to all, and that's transparent and shared with all the stakeholders. And that will bring more of the innovation cycle to become even quicker. People are incentivized, people are supported, and definitely they'll come up with ideas to improve their environment. Education is a necessity. Now, if we spill out what these, 6 ingredients have, or enablers, they're more of summed up into 4. I mean, they're the technologies, and that's the infrastructure and support. The business environment, that take care basically of the communication, transparency, and support. Processes, and if you have a clear vision, then you know where you're going. And if you have uncertainties, this uncertainty gets less with time. People are really important. You have to educate them. They're the ones who are picking what technologies, improving what technologies you'll be using, and where they fit, and what value they can bring. So if we sum them up into the 4 enablers, they're enabling technologies, business environment, optimization processes, and people. And if you look at the right side, and these are the spheres, they're representation of the value of these, and the investment value of these enablers. But if you look at it, so the bigger the sphere, the bigger the investment size. But if you look at it from a different perspective, you will see that the greatest value, as per the x-axis, comes out of people. So the focus on people, they're the ones who are picking technologies, they're the ones making up the environment, and they're the ones creating or coming up or improving the existing processes. Now, when it comes to 3 elements that are really important to expedite the success, to make sure at least everything is coherent, and this is more of a subject by itself, needs to a presentation by itself to discuss it further. But organizational structure alignment for the digital oil fields, be it in the oil and gas or any other industry. So the organizational structure has to be considered, and there has to be a comprehension of all the objectives, be it the short term, the long term, and how they're connected, interconnected with each other. Competencies, again, and this is directed to people. And when we talk about people, they're not only the employees, they're the employees, I mean, the technical ones, the support, and even leadership. Now, there is no replacement for fundamentals, and I'm bringing this video and ending up my presentation with this video because it is really, really important that we get people who are aware and knowledgeable about the whole environment. Data scientists will support them, but the domain experts who make sure that this system is, all the systems are basically targeting applications, real applications to improve the value of the whole environment is really a necessity. So do focus and do improve in the competencies of those domain experts to get the maximum value of the total mission. And now I leave you with the last basically slide of the presentation, which is basically a video, and I wish you a very successful session afterwards.
Whoa, that's not good.
Oh, I don't need this. I'm already late.
Somebody will come. Anybody out there?
Do you have a phone?
No. Sorry. Somebody! Hello? There are two people stuck on an escalator and we need help. Now, would somebody please do something?
Help!
I don't believe this. You gotta be kidding me.
I'm gonna cry.
Well, there's not enough left to do, is there?
Hello? Hey, don't worry about it. I'll fix it in a second.
He said he could fix it. All right. All right. That's more like it. He says he can fix it.
This is the end of it, and I'm sure you got the message out of this interesting video. Thank you very much.